Hi everyone, I'm Sam Clift, and in this colour pencil tip video I'm going to be showing you how I drew this poppy in colour pencils. Just using one brand, I'm using the Polychromos, the Faber-Castell, and I want to show you how by building up the layers you can create depth and form and also get rid of the graininess of the paper. I'm beginning with a layer of ivory, and I'm just going to be adding that to the lightest parts that I can see, and then going in with the pale geranium lake, which is a really lovely pinky orangey red colour, and I'm just going to be adding that to, again, the lightest parts using a very light hand, small circles, and I'm not going to be pressing any harder if I want it to go darker. If I want to increase the pigment, I'm just going to go over the same layer a couple of times, and I'm going to do this over the whole entire poppy. You can see that some areas are a little bit darker than others, and I'm just going over the same area a couple of times. Going in with the scarlet red now and adding another layer, a little bit more depth into the darkest parts, and starting to get rid of some of that graininess now that you can see, using the deep scarlet red as well. And small circles, not pressing any harder still. And now I'm going to go in with the orange glaze, using a combination of the cadmium orange and the orange glaze, and that's going to go into the lightest parts. Again, a light hand, small circles. And now going into the darker parts of the poppy. So I'm using a combination of the India red, the caput mortuum violet and the red violet. So you can see light hand still, using it to crispen up some of the edges as well, just adding that to the darkest parts in the shadow, the folds of the petals. And then using the same technique over the whole of the poppy, I'm going in with the deep scarlet red, the pale geranium lake and the scarlet red into the mid-tones of the poppy, and then using the orange glaze and the cadmium orange to go into the lighter parts. So you can see it's a little bit disjointed with the darker parts showing, so I'm adding all of the mid-tones in now using those lovely pinky red colours, and just building it up gradually, going in with the darker colours of the India red and the caput mortuum violet, and making sure that I'm starting to get rid of any graininess that's showing through, because I really don't want a grainy drawing. And I'm just building up the pigment slowly, because it's a lot more difficult to lift things up if you're pressing too hard, burnishing and then flattening the tooth of the paper. So going into the lightest parts with the cadmium orange, and into the darker parts with the scarlet red and the pale geranium lake as well. You can see the graininess is starting to go now, and then adding in the darker mid-tones. It's all starting to come together, going over the whole poppy with these colours, the same combination, the scarlet red, the cadmium orange, as well as the orange glaze. And then I've got scarlet red and the geranium lake as well. So using the same combination over the whole of the poppy, using that orange glaze to really start to smooth any graininess of the petals. We want a little bit of texture, but we don't want lots and lots of the white paper showing through. So I'm using this technique over the rest of the poppy as well. And I can lift up any highlights with the Tombow Mono eraser. If I put a little bit too much pigment down, you're kind of drawing with this eraser as well. It's just a fantastic tool to have to kind of carve in the highlights. And now going in with the caput mortuum violet and the red violet into the darker areas, and then glazing over the top with the scarlet red. You're not losing those highlights that you've pulled up with the Tombow, but it's a really great way of darkening the colour a little bit. Adding the caput mortuum violet into the darker parts of the inside of the poppy, and then smoothing out with the scarlet red, adding a little bit of shadows. Now we've got the centre of the poppy in the black, you can see that you need to darken up a little bit more. And making sure that you have nice crisp edges as well. Adding the scarlet red and the India red and the Caput Mortuum violet, going into those highlighted areas, making sure that we are adding pigment there. They're not completely white, so adding the cadmium orange and the orange glaze, as well as the pale geranium lake to the lighter parts of the poppy. And then using this technique over the whole of the rest of the poppy, using the cadmium orange in the lightest parts and then building up through the mid-tones. And it's all starting to come together. Making sure that the edges are crisp and adding any details in now into these last layers, putting some lines, some folds of the petals, and then just crispening up the edges, using that cadmium orange to smooth any graininess, and the scarlet red to add those mid-tones. I'm now going in with the dark sepia, and I'm really defining the bottom part, the darkest part of the poppy, and also the inside of the poppy as well. So you can press a little bit harder now, we're in our last layers, just defining some of the edges, and then using a light hand, circular motions, I can glaze over the whole of the inside of the poppy without losing any colour underneath or any of the detail that I've added. Doing that to all of the edges as well, any folds and shadows with the dark sepia, very light hand, just to balance everything out. And once you've added the stalk, your poppy is complete. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see a real-time full version of this tutorial, then it is available in my online membership. I will put the link in the description if you wanted to find out more. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and would like to see more like this, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.